Go, Larry.
Cold off my rib.
Just want to check with you before I leave.
Yeah, turn the chairs back around. I don't know if they have. Yeah, turn the chairs back around. Turn the chairs. Good job. That was really good.
Yeah, don't do that. We all teary-eyed.
I love you guys.
One of the questions I'd have is, hopefully, it'd be great if there was enough money for all projects. And from what I'm hearing, your top project would be a cafeteria. What would be your two?
Preschool.
Okay, where would that go?
It looked like it was here.
That's, okay. So if you had to have a project to choose from, for some reason, not enough funding, because that is a large project, that would be your number two.
I mean, yeah, if there was like a plan, even a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, and things are done in stages, and you move the cafeteria first to address the safety issue over there, plus our preschool, you can see the hot mess that can be with 2 very creative teachers. That to me, that would be
2
number
days a
2.
week, there's 29 small children in that little bitty room.
In a wheelchair.
And we're not asking for everything at one time, but a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan of trying to make this building what it needs to be for the future. I mean, we're talking about the future.
Last year, we brought in an expert from the state, and he came down and talked to us. He said the number one way to grow your school is to get preschool. He said, you build that program and people will stay in this area and they will bring children to your school. Number one way, is what he said. And I don't remember the man's name, unfortunately.
'Cause I feel like-
Jerry Kimball,
Okay,
and we have that demographic study,
okay.
which does show some decline in our district, in South Terrace area.
We also know that people in our community need childcare too.
Absolutely.
So why not educate them the way we know that is good?
Daycare in your school too.
And so to go off of what Mrs. McGinnis said, I just ask that there is a plan, and I think that Jennifer did a great job starting that a couple years ago. And I think that if you can't do the cafeteria now, something that makes sense that includes that vision of that being done eventually, because that's obviously needed, and including the preschool, something that we're going to see an immediate need with right away, where the cafeteria could be used, and then getting, the art and the music taken care of eventually, so other things can be addressed later, would be huge.
And I do know that teaching preschool, you hear where all the kids are going and why they're not at South Terrace. And a lot of it, we have 8 families moving from North Elementary to come to South, because originally they should have been here, but they were 3 and we had no room to put them. We're losing to Zion, we're losing to St. Wendell. And if we could gain that enrollment here using a preschool, you're gonna make a lifelong Panther, and there's no other better school or place to be, to start their education. So it just seems like a smart move to incorporate a 3-year-old classroom in our school district, because the need is there.
And when we lost them at 3, then we lost them at 4 because they were already comfortable where
stayed
they
for
were. And they
kindergarten.
said, we're just gonna stay here for one more year and we'll wait and come to kindergarten.
Or some of them stay.
And some of them stay, if they
Some
have
of
the
them
money
stay
to
and
go
start
to
kindergarten.
Resurrection or somewhere else, and they're happy, they're just gonna keep them there.
You don't have to have the money anymore.
That you
You're
don't
right.
have to have the money anymore.
So does that answer your question, Mr. Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Any other questions?
I'd like to see something happen with this safety issue of the trucks. I'd love to be able to figure out something to stop them from driving back there.
Then get the
Is there a way
cafeteria
for an
built.
arm game?
Get the cafeteria built too, Larry.
Mrs. Reynolds wasn't joking when she says this has been going on since the beginning of time.
And I've gotten
It doesn't
very,
matter.
very upset over the years because we've had the semi moving on the playground with children darting around. And I come in screaming.
And you guys know,
How wide is the area? Could an arm gate work where they come out and lock?
It's just over there on the end.
You can-
Where they
So
come
you
back.
could,
Mhm,
that would be a cheap fix
Mhm.
temporarily.
mhm.
Cheaper.
Stop them from at least, you know.
And
If
really,
they can't
they're
get
just
out and
asking
actually-
from 10 to 10:15. I
We've
mean, that's
told
all
them
it
the
is.
times. We've
It's a
told them the
15-minute
times.
gap that they can't come
It was
through.
there today. There today.
No, they used to happen during noon recess too.
It does
So,
happen.
Oh, does it
yes,
still happen
It
during
does happen
noon?
twice, yeah.
But if there's a lock on it, they're not gonna open.
There you go.
Make them haul it down the hallway a couple times. Go get
And
their-
that's
They'll come-
mentioned,
they'll come
and they
30
say
minutes
we cannot make them, the delivery people, go all the way down the hall. They don't want to. That's what the company's saying.
And you guys know Kelly Carlton, she couldn't even get done. I'm just saying. Just saying.
I also know my mother.
Yeah, there you go.
Multiple,
So-
calling the company and expecting them to do it is not gonna work. So an arm
Cause
gate,
like you, yeah,
An-
like
an
you
arm-
said, they are
They are.
struggling to find
Mm-hmm.
employees themselves.
Absolutely.
And they're gonna have a new person on the job every
All the time.
3 weeks.
Mhm.
Right.
All the time. I guess, back to Steve's point though, the money that we're looking at for that cafeteria is close to $4.3 million is the estimate. With the CTE wing, the junior high science renovation, and that, we're over $12.8 million. So doing the full set of project is really not feasible. But to get some of these shorter fixes, maybe with the gate, to be able to add some space, some classroom space, you're looking at close to, with the 4 classrooms up to the top, and then you could also renovate, which we've got some numbers on those, renovate this area to a preschool. Then you're looking at close to 9.9 million, which is very close to what the estimates were on the latest bond issue.
We had soft costs too with that though.
It's all
Mrs. Kester, one question that we've had when we talk about adding the classroom area at the top is there's no restrooms up there. And so kind of talk to us a little bit about if we were to be able to add, because if we were to be able to add the space out back, it doesn't have to look like 4 classrooms, but it could look like we would have some design time.
These are bubbles.
These are bubbles, right?
These are
So
bubbles.
if we were to able to add some learning space
Mhm.
back there.
Correct.
Would we need to consider bathroom space as well? Because that's not really been in the cost idea there so far. But that's what we're talking about somewhat, is if we were able to do that and renovate this into preschool, it could.
renovate
go-
this into preschool?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good, okay.
Yeah.
I
so that
I
goes-
don't know why you wouldn't put bathroom, because that's pretty far away
Yeah.
from the rest of the, I mean, not just, yeah,
That's the only reason why.
correct, plumbing. So there has to be, I would say, if you're looking, so you would have to have water going out there somehow then.
Well, where would
That-
the library go if they're using this as preschool?
Innovation and Technology Center.
Yes.
Yeah,
Comes to the library also.
There would have to be some,
Cafeteria.
I assume there would have to be some, like, breathing time for all of this construction to take place. Like, just like you do growing pains with construction, but
and there's
that would be
not-
something that Jennifer and I, and we would maybe sit down and have some working sessions, but, because we
Those
haven't,
bubbles are just drawn as classrooms right now, but that, I mean, it could be
right,
space that's large room, it could be broken into smaller rooms, it could be art, it could be music. I mean, there's lots of conversation to happen about what those spaces
Travis
could
can look,
be.
yes.
Yeah.
But, I appreciate you letting us know the situation with the timeline. And we know where we're at with, funding and the projects. So everyone understands kind of that.
Do we? I mean, I don't have a clear feeling about when anything is happening at South Terrace.
Really has to be decided at this point. We need to look at the money that's available, like Mr. Schmidt said. And then it's kind of a catch-22 because you want to do all these projects, but you also have to look at the amount of money you have and to pick and choose which one and trying to get as many of those that can fit as you can with that amount.
And I think as teachers, when we throw around in the lounge or wherever we're talking, I think that I get the money. I think we're more concerned about when's the plan going to begin? Like what's the time, like where are we in the plan besides having it drawn up? Are we anywhere besides having it drawn up?
I mean, so the plan is that we take these concepts and ideas, we as a board figure out which projects are feasible at this time with the money given, and then we move forward with them. I believe 2026 was the construction timeline, or was it already
2025.
2025, okay. I haven't heard that date before.
So, and we've already approved the CTE additions and a renovation to the junior high science rooms that are original as well. And with this bond issue, we also talked about, okay, right now we've got close to $10 million to spend district-wide. In 5 years from now, we should have another, I think it was close to 10 million as well. So there'll be another round as far as that's concerned. And I mean, we did a similar thing at North Elementary. When we built the gyms, we then renovated the former cafetorium into a library, and then took the library and converted that over into classroom. So, and I think we could easily do a stepped approach on these projects as well.
And I would think a year from now, we have a whole lot better idea of what we could do here, affordable, and then be able to tell you, hey, this is gonna have to wait until the next bond issue or whatever. But at least it gives us,
We should start getting some hard numbers.
Yeah,
So
we should start
CTE pretty
close
soon.
pretty soon. And we'd be able to give you a better idea of that.
So everything that was on the high school that she showed us, all of that is starting now,
It's a go, it's a priority, it's a go.
It was a approved project, yes,
all of the classrooms. Okay.
yes.
We have
And
to have
that was my question, though, how do we prioritize that over like the cafeteria? That's the original cafeteria, that's got all those issues.
That
How did
CTE
we-
wing's also.
That's what I'm
It's,
asking, that's what I'm asking.
It's all original, it's,
CT room is all original and it's way, it's
and the other thing you gotta consider is that all of our surrounding corporations are adding facilities that are $15 to $20 million facilities. There is no way we can keep up, and we need to as a community, because that's the majority of our community.
Is it because we're smaller? Our population, our
Well,
community,
it's-
how do they get more funding?
Well, one of the things that
Is it go?
career and technical education, you get money from the state for the kids that are in these programs. And that's one of the reasons why Warren County just opened theirs up.
Right.
A lot of these surrounding communities are doing just that. Like you said, putting $15 to $20 million in.
Right.
We can't do that, but what we have to do is update what we have, or we're gonna lose our kids that we have to go to their programs. So our goal is to not only keep ours, but possibly entice some other kids coming in.
Because when our kids go to the tech school on the east side of Evansville, you don't get as much money for those kids, correct?
We lose money, they get money. So that is another reason why that's important. I would like to add one thing for Mrs. Kissel. Thank you. We have not had a drawing in any of our schools that our teachers hasn't come away from saying, wow, that is awesome. I hope that can work. So you've done a fabulous job kind of creating those dreams for us to get us where we're at.
Hopefully can do a roadmap and just the beginning and get it all done.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
I know I and the other board members all would like to just
Do everything.
do it right now,
Yeah.
you know, and get it done, and we've got a lot of really tough decisions to make.
And we understand it's not feasible. We just went into a panic when we thought it was dropped. We were under the impression that South Terrace was just dropped off the plan, and we thought that's just not acceptable.
Yeah, that was never the case.
Yeah.
I think we
I
dropped
understand.
the, solar.
We
We're
also
not
have
really talking about that at
aging
all.
buildings district-wide, so
Yeah.
trying to figure out,
Which,
is it worthwhile to renovate that space when maybe the whole school needs to be demolished in this amount of time? When you're thinking those kind of dollars, so it's just a lot of, we don't wanna halfway do things.
That's what I just said. I'm like, how do these corporations afford to build all these brand new
Right.
schools?
Back to that question somewhat. Our tax basis in Posey County, northern Posey County, is all agriculture.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Right.
We have very little industry. We don't have Toyota, we don't have Sabic, we don't have Country Mart. So it's very difficult for us to generate money based on the tax rate of the assessed value.
In case you do hear of solar, understand we are looking at grants. So if we are hopeful and we think there can be, but don't think, oh my gosh,
now they're using it.
I want you to tell you, we're pursuing grants. If that comes to fruition, then yes, I think the board would like to look at that, but
It's a great revenue stream for the
Right.
future of the corporation, but we completely understand prioritizing that behind all of these other projects.
if you hear of a solar project, I want you to do the.
You don't want me to call them and say, Steve?
Come up with a picture.
One of our Centerpoint bills keep going up,
Yeah.
so they have been.
Yes.
Well, thanks for allowing us to give you a tour, kind of give you a feel about what's like at South Terrace and to show you our problem areas so that you can, keep it in mind that this is important too, when the money's there and when it's feasible, that there has to be some sort of plan for this building as well. That it's necessary also. I think that's all we have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you were very organized and very informative.
Very teacher.
Always wearing it.
Just make a good one.
Aaron gave me a tour a couple of months ago, it wasn't yours.
That's why I told her she couldn't speak
From now on, if you have any complaints, call Steve.
Sounds
For
good.
2 weeks.
He's not gonna appreciate